What? Not Isak or Ekitike. Isak and Ekitike. Newcastle United might be cooking something huge. And I do not like this. And the reason I do not like this is because I don't support Newcastle and this looks insane. Nah, surely they can't. Surely they can they? Are they? Because look, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, Isak to Liverpool, Isak to Liverpool, woo 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 woo." Sure, they won't have both Ekitike and Isak. No, guys, you don't understand. You don't understand. Ekitike and Isak are born to play together. Marmoush and Ekitike played up top together. They bounced off each other so well at Frankfurt. Newcastle are clearly planning a front two. They looked at João Pedro, they looked at Cunha. They're clearly planning a front two. And these two, the way they bounce off each other is perfect. This isn't, maybe Isak goes, I don't know. I think Isak could stay. But, a lot of people making this about Isak leaving. No. Newcastle are cooking something. We've got to talk about it. We've got to talk about how they can play together. We've got to talk about Ekitike, his strengths. But David Ornstein added and edited to add, Newcastle want 23-year-old forward to play alongside Isak. Newcastle aren't looking to sell Isak. Newcastle are looking to bring in Ekitike to play alongside Isak. They're working on a deal. It's not fully agreed yet, but talks are continuing. 75 million euros. And I'm going to tell you something about Frankfurt. Frankfurt are willing to be very flexible with the Ekitike deal. It's a big price, but Frankfurt are more than willing to have large parts of the price in installments, add-ons, and apparently Frankfurt were willing to be flexible so it could be paid over 5 years, which means in regards to PSR, Newcastle, if they paid 75 million euros over 5 years, that could be 15 million euros a year, which is like 12 million pounds a year. So PSR-wise, it might not even cost Newcastle much. It's not a case of they need to sell Isak to fund this. Newcastle have money. They looked at João Pedro on top of Elanga. They're now looking at Ekitike, who might only be a couple million more, actually like 10 million more. So, Roman have said, Newcastle know they're serious. Bid is in. This isn't just some link. This isn't just some random link going about. This is the bid is in. This is negotiations underway. And let's be honest, Newcastle wouldn't be making a bid if they didn't feel like they could tempt the player to come. I don't know if he's agreed personal terms with Newcastle yet, but I don't think Newcastle would be going in for this guy and making a bid if they didn't feel this guy was interested in joining them. And why wouldn't he be? Imagine the opportunity to play alongside Alexander Isak, to go to the best league in the world. This is insane. It's disgusting. That is disgusting. In the bigger games, it's going to be Joelinton on the left and it will turn into a midfield three. In the bigger games, Joelinton will be there. But maybe against the lesser teams, Gordon Elanga, Isak Ekitike, Bruno Tonali. This doesn't even mention Harvey Barnes. This doesn't even mention Murphy. They're the good depth options. That's such a good base 11. I still think Newcastle being in the Champions League, when their injuries come in, they're going to need a few more players for depth. I think they could do with another midfielder for depth. If they get Ekitike, they get a new centre-back, they'll be linked to Scalvini, and they maybe get another midfielder for depth. They're cooking. They are cooking. I'm telling you what, the Premier League, this is horrible as a Man United fan, because my team just finished 15th. We're doing absolutely snail's work in the transfer window. Newcastle already better than us, have brought in Elanga and are looking to bring in Ekitike on top of keeping Isak. Tottenham, Gibbs White and Kudus. You've got, of course, City, brought in 3-4 players. You've got Liverpool, Frimpong, Kirkes, Arsenal, Mosquera today, Gyökeres yesterday. They've already got Norgard, Suleiman. There's so many players and they're looking to bring in Eze. Everybody's cooking. Chelsea just won the Club World Cup. They've got over 100 million coming in. Chelsea are going to cook in the window. But this is, man, let's talk about it. Let's talk about Newcastle's plan. Because this looks like a 4-4-2 rebuild. And I want to talk about why this is so good. I want to talk about why this is so amazing. And look, I should have probably mentioned this in the first minute of the video. I'm on holiday. I'm filming in my hotel room. I don't get Wi-Fi very well in my hotel room. So the only place I can get Wi-Fi is my bathroom, which means there's an echo. So that's why I'm filming in the bathroom, by the way. So, Ekitike could be close. Elanga is signed. Isak is thriving. This is pointing 4-4-2 vibes. This is pointing Gordon Elanga on the wings. Ekitike up top. Direct, high-energy, technical players. I'm just going to say this is deadly. Why could this change everything? Why is this deadly? Let's talk about it. The wingers are high pressing, they're good ball carriers, and with relentless actions. These are relentless wingers. These are wingers that are going to push and push and push and get up the pitch and make things happen. These are deadly wingers. These are wingers that are some of the hardest working, high pressing wingers that are great ball carriers that are relentless. Blended with a midfield duo of, Tonali and Bruno Guimaraes. Joelinton can obviously go in there. His physicality, he's a powerhouse. I always feel like Newcastle drop off when Joelinton is injured. I think he goes under the radar, his contributions. But it's a technically, physically good midfield. And then you've got two of the most technical strikers in the world. Ekitike thrived in a front two for Frankfurt. People are saying, I've seen people online saying that Isak and Ekitike won't play together. Newcastle can't have both. No. Newcastle can have both. They can very much play together. This is a dynamic. Marmoush, you look at Marmoush and Ekitike, the dynamic. Maybe Newcastle looking to recreate that. Look how good Marmoush was. Look how good Ekitike was together. Isak and Ekitike could bounce off each other so well. Of course, there's question marks. Ekitike isn't proven. Could he struggle in the Premier League? He struggled at PSG. Will he deal with the physicality of the Premier League well? There's all those questions around Ekitike. But when he signed Isak, you had the exact same questions around Isak for the money, for the risk, and Isak paid off. So I feel like Newcastle, everyone questioned, a lot of their signings. Tonali got a few question marks around it. Bruno Guimaraes did. Botman, people questioned the price. Livramento, Lewis Hall, people questioned the price. Isak had a lot of question marks around it. And every single Newcastle signing has proved those haters wrong. And I'm saying Isak and Ekitike, mobile, fluid strikers that can drop deep, connect play, with wide runners around them, those wide runners being Gordon and Elanga, potentially Harvey Barnes and Murphy. Harvey Barnes did end the season better than Gordon, but I do think Gordon is the better player, despite Harvey Barnes looking better at the end. But Gordon and Elanga can stretch teams, they can go out and create 1v1s, and they're going to isolate the fullback, those two guys, and cause a lot of issues. Gordon and Elanga are going to bring the fullbacks out wide, and that's going to open up space, because they're going to hold the width. Gordon, Elanga, they're those kind of players. And because the fullbacks will have to deal with them, that will open up space in the front line. So if one of Ekitike or Isak drops deep, they obviously have the passing ability to exploit that space. And Ekitike could get the ball dropped deep. Because the wingers are occupying the fullbacks out so wide, the opposition's defence is stretched. So the opposition's defence, and Ekitike could play a really good through ball to Isak. Isak in space, Isak in the transition. That is ridiculously deadly. I don't think people realise how good this duo could be together. Of course, there's Tonali, Bruno Guimaraes in the middle, power control, press-resistant, creative players. But this is transition threat. This is two goal-scoring outlets. These are players that can play on top of each other. One thing Eddie Howe's shown recently is versatility. Eddie Howe's shown a lot of versatility. He's gone from his four at the back system to 5 at the back system in certain games last season. If Isak's having issues with his groin, Isak rest, Ekitike 4-3-3. Some games he might play Isak and Ekitike together, 4-4-2. We've seen Eddie Howe go with back fives, back fours, different systems, different games. He can adapt. So we could very much see Eddie Howe using back fours, back threes. We could see Ekitike on his own. We could see Isak on his own, resting, rotating. We could see both of them pressing from the front. I mean, I don't think people realise how well these guys go together. If you don't know who Ekitike is, 23 years old, was previously at PSG, struggled at PSG, has gone to Eintracht Frankfurt and been insane this season. He got 22 goals and 12 assists and 43 starts last season for Eintracht Frankfurt. 15 of those goals were in the Bundesliga. He's tall, he's technical, he's mobile. He's not a typical finisher. He's not a Haaland ruthless finisher. He did underperform his XG. He's not the most ruthless finisher in the world, but he's known as a striker for what he does outside the box, his connection, his link-up play, his technicality and natural talent. Look, there's questions of his stats are good in the Bundesliga, he struggled at PSG, blah, blah, blah. But if you're looking at technical ability, you're looking at his frame, you're looking at his ability to link play, clever flicks, first touch passes. If you're looking at the fact that the Newcastle wingers could open up space, stretch the opposition's defence, create space for Ekitike to play these off Isak, and the ability of Ekitike and Isak together, it is insane. Let me get these slides up. Guys, this is insane. I don't know if it happens. We will do a video on it if it happens. If Newcastle sign him, we will do a big video on this. He's good in tight spaces. I said with Elanga coming in, he doesn't help necessarily Newcastle break down low blocks. And as Newcastle get better and better, they're going to come up against low blocks. But Ekitike would help with that. Ekitike can almost play behind Isak if you did do a 4-3-3 as a 10, potentially. He can play slightly behind Isak, and he's quite good at drawing out defenders, dribbling, getting around defenders. He's quite good against low blocks, operating in the tight space. He's got good movement off the ball. He knows how to ghost in the scoring areas. He's comfortable dropping deep, making runs in behind, and he could form an unbelievable duo with Isak. I don't think people realise how good that duo could be. They're both tall, they're both fast, they're both skillful, they love to combine, they love to drift wide. Isak can thrive in the channel, Ekitike can thrive in the central zones, the combinations of the two. You're looking at Benzema, Ronaldo, but less traditional, more modern. Elements of that. I'm not saying that they're going to be that good. I'm not saying that. Isak is, for me, best striker in the world. But Ekitike's potential, like if Ekitike did what he's shown at Frankfurt last season in the Premier League and goes up a level as he ages, that's a duo. That is a duo. I don't think people realise how good Newcastle's attack could be next season. Again, I know the audio in this video might not be great. I'm on holiday, I'm filming in a hotel, I don't have my mic, the bathroom has echo, I apologise. Elanga got 20 assists in the last 2 years, more than Gordon, more than Saka, more than Odegaard, more than De Bruyne. Gordon got 10 plus goal contributions last season. The season before, he got 10 plus goal contributions, but much higher. Those two could bomb down the flanks. They've got Harvey Barnes and Murphy that have proven they're top-level players for depth. Harvey Barnes could start ahead of Gordon at the start of the season. And look, Elanga doesn't walk in that side with how good Jacob Murphy was last season either. I'm just mentioning these two because I think this is the plan. Isak and Ekitike constantly rotating, dragging defenders out, creating space. Also, Ekitike and Isak dragging defenders out. If they create space for Elanga and Gordon, that's deadly. Ekitike and Isak creating space for Elanga and Gordon in behind that are lethal in transition, lethal in space, deadly. Bruno Guimaraes can dictate the play. Tonali can help with the build-up, can mop up attacks. Tonali, fast, technical, young, hungry. I don't think people realise how good that is. Newcastle are building one of the most balanced forward lines in England. Maybe the most balanced if they get Ekitike. That's a massive upgrade on Wilson. That is potentially a 4-4-2 identity shift. I'm not saying that they will do a 4-4-2, but I think that's what they're cooking. Guys, that is insane. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching. Bye.